started this podcast one time, but if you have the gumption just to walk up with a few hundred people and just say, you know what, cut a promo for my podcast, I will assume that you have good moxie. I will assume that the Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast is a good one. I haven't heard a minute of it, but I'm assuming it's great.
Check us out.
I can't wait to listen to it.
Check us out.
Cheers, man. Good luck.
Welcome to the Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast, where we help you take the next step in your fantasy journey. Here's your host.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Jake, and I am once again joined by my friend Jordan. Jordan, how you doing?
Excellent.
Yeah?
I'm excellent. All my fantasy leagues are kicking up right now.
Oh.
The weather is still nice.
There's football
Preseason
on tonight?
started. Football is on. What? I got nothing but excitement in my life.
Jordan, tonight for the preseason, we got 2 games going on. Do you know what they are?
No. But I'm going to watch them later.
Are you? Later? They start in 26 minutes.
Well, correct. I'll watch the end.
So you're hearing it here first, folks. Jordan will watch the end of the preseason games.
I'm just going to go and turn it on when we're done with this. That's what I'm trying to say.
I would like to also just say that I was wrong, and they're actually already going on.
Oh, maybe.
All right, who's the one to watch in Panthers versus Patriots, Jordan? That's going on right now, Thursday, August 8th at 6:30. Panthers, Patriots. Who's the guy you're watching?
Well, Drake May, probably, if he's playing.
Oh, I have no... You're supposed to know this.
I didn't know.
He did.
We've already addressed this.
He did play. He went 2 for 3 for 19 yards.
Okay.
Nice.
That's promising.
And then Lions, Giants. Who you watching in that one?
It's Malik if he plays too.
Well, he doesn't have any stats if he did. But Drew Lock, our boy, Adam's best friend, Drew Lock, did throw a pick.
Classic.
But that's not what... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, preseason, I used to be really excited about preseason. I cared about stuff.
Yeah.
There was things I was looking for. But now so many teams, it's just such nonsense.
Well, now it's like, just don't get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we're watching. Jamie in the chat, we're live on YouTube, youtube.com/Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast. He says, I'd rather watch paint dry than these preseason games. That's how I feel once I started.
That's all I'm saying. It'll be on in the background.
I get excited and I'm like, preseason football's on, and then you get about 7 minutes into the first quarter and you're like, oh my god, this is the worst. But that's not why we're here. But we are excited that there is football back. We are on to our love-hate episode. So the way this is going to work before we get into the news is that we got some guys we love this year. We got some guys we hate. We've talked about some of these guys along the way. For example, last year, loved me some Tony Pollard. It didn't work out. He broke everybody's hearts. But I was gonna say I was waiting for you. But yeah, so we'll kind of go over who we like there. Jordan, you probably have some news though.
I want to just talk about Brandon Ayuk. He was a potential trade candidate during the draft. Then it seemed like the 49ers were going to keep him. And now news this week is he's requested a trade. And people are looking. There was the Patriots were interested, the Browns maybe. Then it was the Steelers maybe, and then the Steelers no. And now it's it's going to be the Steelers. Just need to make the deal or finalize the deal. So that seems to be where it is now. It's this. If it's not the Steelers, it seems like it won't be anyone. Is the latest that I'm reading. But Jake, what are your thoughts on Ayuk getting?
Yeah, obviously I think Steelers is the best case, right? Right, for fantasy. It's probably the best spot he could go to right now. Of the available teams, would you agree?
I guess.
Okay, a lot of I guesses.
It's a step down though for him.
Of course
it's
it is. It's a step down no matter what.
Yeah, okay. I thought that's what you were saying, the best case scenario.
No, of these three teams.
The best case scenario is he stays in San Francisco.
But of all these teams that assuming he goes to one of these 3 teams, us as fantasy people here on the podcast, we want him to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Why? Most likely because of that Is it more because of Mike Tomlin or more because of the quarterbacks?
It's not the.
I'm asking.
I can't fight to you about Russell Wilson.
I'm just asking.
No, it's the best quarterback situation
of the three.
That doesn't mean it's good.
No, I'm not.
Don't be. Yeah, I don't want to get confused by what I'm talking
Jordan,
about.
we are only 4 minutes into this. We cannot be arguing already.
I know, but I thought you were coming at me with, Russell Wilson is gonna save the day or something.
But okay, let me just say this: if he goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's obviously a bump for everybody, right?
Except for Brandon Ayuk.
Okay, except for Brandon Ayuk.
It's only a bump to Russell Wilson.
Do you think it helps Pickens at all?
No.
You don't think so? Opening up the because right now everyone is just you're gonna double George Pickens, right? You have another receiver on the opposite side, might open up some options, right? You just hate this whole situation, don't you?
I just do not like the quarter, and I'm torn. It's not that I don't like it; it's that it's overhyped. The idea that Russell Wilson, the same way he was going to be excellent with the Broncos, it's the same idea that things are going to be good in fantasy land in Pittsburgh, and I don't agree with that.
What do you think Brandon Ayuk's thing is? So, the Patriots reported that they were going to make him a top 5 paid receiver, and then he was like, "Nah, don't like it, too cold." And then he's like, then he's like, "But the Browns, they'll pay you really high," but then he was like, "I don't want to play with Deshaun Watson." So what do you think? See, I did preface Jordan. The great Robert California from The Office once said, I heard this today, there's no such, so for anyone who doesn't know, if you don't know The Office, what are you doing, first of all? But they sell paper. And he was trying to teach someone how to sell paper, and he said, there's no such thing as a product. A man only wants you to respect him. And I'm wondering if that's the situation we're looking at a little, where he just wants to be respected. And obviously they show that by paying him, but it must not be the most important thing. Because if he wanted to be paid the most, he would have went to the Patriots. So I wonder if this is just a little he truly wants to be a 49er, and he's just kind of floating everything. Do you think he gets traded, or do you think he stays as a 49er?
Oh, he'll get traded because now, if he's does he have to approve the trade? No, right?
Yeah, the thing is that he needs to approve it because he's pretty much saying, I'm not going to go there without an extension.
Got it. Okay.
So it's not that he has a no trade clause. He's just saying, if they ship you to the Panthers, I'm not going to sign an extension. You're just going to have a problem there.
Yeah.
So they had a deal with the Patriots, with the Browns, and then he was like, I'm not signing an extension, so it pretty much just fell through.
And then it fell through. I see. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if the scenarios, it's stay in San Francisco, it's go to Pittsburgh, and then it's a combo of Browns, Patriots after that, which seem to be out of the running anyway.
And there's Jamie pointed out, I forgot to mention, that right now it seems like the Niners want a receiver in return, and they don't have one to give. Who are they giving? Van Jefferson? Is that getting it over the hump? Which is strange to me that they want a receiver, considering they just took Ricky Purcell. They have Juwan Jennings.
Yeah. I think all of this, if Brandon Ayuk leaves, it helps whatever quarterback he goes to, hurts Brandon Ayuk, and then the only other person it helps is Ricky Purcell.
Oh,
That's the only other person.
I still think Juwan Jennings would be running or wide receiver 2 on that team, though, to start.
You're probably right.
Yeah. All right, so there's our Brandon Ayuk talk. I guess we'll report.
It's interesting. I'm excited.
We'll report back whenever we find out. Keep an eye out on the Facebook page. Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast. Jordan, do you have any other news? No one else has gotten paid that I can think of.
No one else got paid. Rondell Moore has a season-ending injury, so for the Falcons,
I missed that. That's 3. A bummer.
It's a bummer, but again, wide receiver 3, you probably weren't drafting him anyway.
I always liked Rondell Moore.
I did too. I always thought he was more talented than his stats showed.
Yeah. But, all right. So why don't we move on? Let's go ahead and get to this. So these guys are the guys we love, guys we hate. We're going to kind of touch on all of the guys here on this graphic. We'll post that on our social medias as well. and then maybe throw in one or two more that we have. Oh man, Jordan, I spent all this time formatting this, and then I had it cut off. What a joke. All right, why don't you start us off? So we kind of, between myself, Jordan, and then Adam also threw some in here of guys that we liked, guys we didn't, and then we'll kind of talk about them. And then we'll also kind of make the point for anyone Adam threw in there too. So we're going to go out of order, if that's all right with you.
Yeah.
Because I want you just to get this done, and it kind of compare with another guy here. So you talked about it at length, at nausea last week. So why don't we do it again? Davante Adams, you hate him here. Why?
Yep, and to be clear, it's the ADP I hate. A second-round ADP on Davante Adams.
Why don't we also just, because we can just talk about this once, and so you hate Davante Adams here in the second round. You love Cooper Kupp in the fifth.
Correct, and it's all about value.
Yeah.
So that's really what I'm looking at when I'm looking at these ADPs. Don't like Davante Adams in the second. It's likely your number one wide receiver that you're taking. Again, history is not on the side here unless your name is Jerry Rice. You, over the age of 30, are not pulling off 1,200-yard seasons. You're definitely not pulling off 1,500-yard seasons. We're looking back to like 2016, 2015, the last time that we even sniffed this for a 30-year-old receiver.
Yeah.
Davante Adams is talented. Don't get me wrong. He could still be over 1,000 yards. I just do not like him as a second round pick, likely your wide receiver one, for a guy that's probably, historically speaking, definitely not going to get 1,300 yards for your team. So he still could be great. He still might be. You'd have him and you'd start him every single week. I just don't think he's going to get you the production you're hoping for.
Yeah.
In this spot. Opposite of that is Cooper Kupp. I have the same criticism. I don't think he'll get 1,500 yards. But as a wide receiver in the fifth round, you get over 1,000 yards. You're one of those primary targets. He still finished, even with injuries and everything, as I think wide receiver like 27 last year. So you're looking at someone who is just in a better spot. And in the fifth round, I'm much more comfortable taking someone who's not going to get to 1,250 yards, but you hope that he gets over 1,000, adds in a handful of touchdowns there, and that's what I like about Cooper Kupp in the fifth versus Davante Adams in the second.
Just reported
rationales there.
Just reported. Cooper Kupp just came out and said that he is finally feeling 100%, which is exactly what you want to hear, right?
Yeah.
I really like it. I mean, a guy who can give you wide receiver one numbers consistently in the fifth round is very good, right?
Even if it's wide receiver two, again,
I feel comfortable saying high-end wide receiver two every week. And that's great. Like that's fantastic, right? I will say I think if anyone's going to do it, Davante Adams could go off again. I'm not willing to be that guy, but I understand the history.
Who's it going to be? Let me list all the guys over 30. You think all of them are going to?
Let's just clarify, what does going off mean?
I'm setting the bar low. 1,250 yards.
1,250 yards. So I
know.
Is
2 people in the last decade have done.
Oh, say that again.
So, 2 people in the last decade have gone over 1,250 yards over the age of 30. So the sample size is huge. But we're talking about guys like Cooper Kupp, Davante Adams, Tyreek Hill, Amari Cooper, Stephon Diggs, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen. They can't all go over 1,250 yards.
They can't.
They can't.
I think a big part of that is, who's your quarterback, right? I think I'm willing to say it's safe that Tyreek Hill does it. I really, assuming you don't get hurt.
No, assuming you get hurt, that's part of this, is that you're over 30 and your risk of injury is so high. Like, that's part of this calculation and why, the chances of getting hurt are so much higher for receivers over the age of 30. So you can't discount it by saying, oh, well, they got hurt. That's what happens. It's what happens when you're a high-production wide receiver over the age of 30.
I'm not going to fully argue with you here because I kind of understand why. I kind of understand what you mean because of all those guys you mentioned, right? Amari Cooper, you had it. I forgot what you said, but Tyreek Hill, Amari Cooper, Mike Evans. I don't think Keenan Allen it gets there just because of how stacked the wide receiver room is, right?
Wide receiver rooms.
But yeah. I think honestly, I like that possibility out of almost all of them more than Davante Adams. I think it's more likely. I don't. I think I might have come around. And that is only because of the wide receiver play, or I'm sorry, the quarterback play.
Yeah, see, and that's part of it too, right? And Tua is a much better spot, but Tua also has an injury risk. There's just too many factors. There's too many factors. I'm betting with history.
Yeah, like I said, I think Amari Cooper has a better shot. I think Cooper Kupp has a better shot. I think Mike Evans has a better shot. And all those guys going 3 rounds after Davante Adams is why we don't like Davante Adams this draft.
Yeah. Jamie in the chat is talking about Cooper Kupp, saying that in his recent drafts that he has not been able to get Kupp in the 5th. He's more likely going in the 3rd. If that's the case, same reason, don't like Cooper Kupp. But I was looking at ADPs, just, we use the same site for all things ADP related, and that's our source of truth right now. But if he ends up in the 3rd and people are taking him, that's fine. Let it happen. But that's not you.
So I'm looking at Fantasy Pros ADP. I mean, we got Diggs, Pittman, Devonta Smith, Cooper Kupp all going in the same general area, right? Diggs makes me nervous. I probably have Pittman over all of them to start, but that's just me. But I understand, these are those guys. This is that area I'd rather see Davante Adams in, right? The Diggs, Pittman, Smith, Kupp, Higgins, Cooper, and Pickens, that area. I'd rather have him there than...
Yeah, it's unlikely. That's why, again,
yes,
it's one of the ADPs we hate. I hate specifically.
100% true. Moving on. Okay, so sorry, I was reading the chat. Sorry, I got a little distracted. And I think it's worth mentioning that Jamie's saying all those guys that I just mentioned are going 3rd or early 4th. That's a big part of it too. Who are you when you look at ADPs, right? That takes everyone drafting, people who know what they're doing, who are probably taking these guys in the 3rd and 4th, and people who don't and are taking them in the 6th and 7th, right? And that's how it all averages out. So if you're going up against, for example, in our home league, Jordan, I understand in our league, who we've been doing this for so long, probably not getting Cooper Kupp in the 5th. So if I want him, you have to go get the guys you want, right?
Yep.
So
also, it matters your scoring too.
Yep.
Here. All of ours I do on half-point PPR just to kind of thread the needle there. But if you have full-point PPR leagues, you might be looking at different things as well. So it all depends on your settings. But Jamie, I totally hear you. If they are going there, I'm not taking them there. But
yeah, so you got to mediate that risk, right? Do you want Devonta Smith, who is younger, been a lot healthier, right? But he's the wide receiver 2 on the team, or would you rather take the risk on Cooper Kupp?
Yeah.
And a bunch of leagues that I've done, I have ended up with Cooper Kupp and then DJ Moore, and those are my 2 receivers, and I'm comfortable with that. But I could totally understand why some people might not be. But if you're getting him in the 5th round, Cooper Kupp in the 5th round, great, I love that. But don't want Davante Adams in the 2nd round. Rather go somewhere else on that way. Jordan Love going in the 9th. This is yours, right?
Jordan Love,
yeah,
going in the 8th, but yeah.
Oh, thank you. Sorry.
This was a combo of ours. I also really like Matt Stafford this year too, but we had too many Rams on this list. So.
Oh yeah, we do.
Matt Stafford's in the 12th. I love that spot for him, ADP wise. Jordan Love in the 8th. The reason that I'm I'm high on Jordan Love in the 8th. One, Packer fan. Come on.
Come on.
No, that's not why. That's not why. Here you're just hoping he keeps momentum.
Yeah.
Right. He had a little bit of a rocky start at the beginning of the season. He finished the season extremely strong, had a great playoff showing. So kind of expectations are high, but also he's signed a big deal, of course. But it's just another year, more chemistry with those young receivers who really demonstrated that they are good players, and a lot of depth there.
Yeah.
Obviously bringing in Josh Jacobs. I just think that they're building around him. So again, even if he stays neutral, that's still a top 10 quarterback. We're taking him in the 8th round. This is probably the earliest I'm starting to look at quarterbacks even, and that's why he kind of jumps to the top for me there. So, again, you're just kind of hoping that this year kind of continues, that momentum continues with Jordan Love. And even if it stays the same, I love that 8th round.
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning. You said that, that's where you're starting to look at quarterbacks. If you look earlier, that's fine. That's your strategy, and there's a way to do it, right? There's no problem with doing it. It's just for us. It's just something that this podcast we just agree on philosophically, right? That we prefer to wait. So, I agree with you. I'm gonna say though, I like Stafford more in the 12th.
Yeah,
and that's mainly because of who he's throwing to. You got Puka, Nakua, you got Cooper Kupp. I love that. I really like that that combination. But again, I like Love there too. Trying to put the homer aside, if he plays the way he played, we could be talking about a top 5 quarterback that you're getting in the 9th round. So he could be the reason why we say wait, and then look what happens.
Yeah, I don't know why you keep saying 9th round because he's going in the 8th round. But
because I can't. My eyes don't work very well, and the graphic isn't very big, and 8s and 9s look similar. That's why.
It's 8th round, but yeah, if you get him in the 9th round, even better. I think conversely, if we just jump over to the ADPs we hate, and we're looking at Anthony Richardson.
God, I can't see.
Anthony Richardson's going in the 6th round, so he's going 2 rounds earlier, and to me, that's why I'm passing on a guy like Anthony Richardson, whose ceiling might be higher.
It is. I'll say it. It is. With the rushing upside, it is a higher ceiling.
For this year? I guess, yeah.
Yeah, with the rushing
upside. It could
upside.
be. It's a lot of risk, I guess is my point there. And you're taking him in the 6th round. You have basically 2 games of.
And he was good in those 2 games, fantasy-wise.
Yeah, I guess.
You're essentially taking a rookie who sat for a year in the 6th round.
Yeah.
And no thank you.
To me, it's just, too much. So, nothing against the player. I like him. I'm actually pretty high on Anthony Richardson as far as like his career goes. I think I really like it. I like what, the rushing upside. Totally agree. The risk is too high for me in the 6th round. It's not in the 8th round. Maybe 9th if he slips for Jordan Love.
Just look at it this way. For anyone who's, you get excited about Anthony Richardson, right? Imagine Jaden Daniels plays a game, then goes out for the year. Are you taking him in the 6th round next year? Because that's essentially what this is, right?
Yeah.
I get that you're excited, but I'd rather take Anthony or Jaden Daniels 6 rounds later than Anthony Richardson in the 6th.
That's interesting. Where do you think Anthony Richardson was?
He had an ADP of the 10th round, I believe it was. It was going right around that 2-up spot when we talked about it during our breakdowns.
Last year?
Yeah. Or no, this year. Are we talking about Richardson or?
I'm thinking, I'm using your comparison to Jaden Daniels.
Can
Anthony
you look that
Richardson last year as a rookie was going in the 11th round.
Yep.
He's played 2 games and now he's going in the 6th. So that is a good comparison there. We have 2 games and it's like, we kind of like what we see. Season-ending injury. I think part of it too is the injury he got isn't like, not blown ACLs and Achilles and things like that, so you're less worried about like him bouncing back. But,
and Jaden Daniels is going in the 13th, so it's pretty close. It's close, right? That's interesting because I don't think it's very different, other than a better running back that the Colts had going into it. It's interesting that he's going 2 rounds later than Richardson went last year, but. Yeah,
some of it too even was Richardson. We didn't even know he was going to start.
That's
there was talk.
Gardner Minshew.
Gardner Minshew might be the guy.
Minshew mania.
We've been high on Anthony Richardson since he came. to the NFL.
I like Anthony Richardson. I really do. It's just a little rich for my blood. I think if he has a great year this year, 6th round next year, fine.
Yep,
fine.
Even if he has an average year this year, 6th round, I'm still fine with because again the upside's so high. But
correct.
Anyway, that's our take on quarterbacks there. Matt Stafford, can't talk about too many Rams here, but I love him in the 12th.
Why don't we talk about another one? And I think I did Kieran Williams here.
Yes.
I don't like him here. 2-5 guys going around him right now. My internet's going really, really slow. I'm so sorry. Can you help me here? My thing's not loading.
You want guys going around?
Going around Kieran Williams right now.
Hey, give me
all right, I got it. We got Travis Etienne, Garrett Wilson, Puka, Jonathan Taylor is the running back before him. This is a rough spot for, in my opinion, rough spots. The back half of the 2nd round is a rough spot for running backs because the ADPs are saying take Kieran Williams, take Travis Etienne, and then it's take Devon Achane and then Derrick Henry. We'll talk about Mr. Devon Achane here in a sec. But I don't like... Something about the Rams running backs always freak me out. We've had a different running back the last how many years, right? We had Kieran Williams,
Darrell Henderson,
Cam Akers.
Yeah.
Like, it's not hard to get. I get it. He was great. He won people leagues this past year. Yards per carry wasn't the best, if I recall. And they just drafted Blake Corum out of Michigan. And something that Sean McVay has always done is always run multiple running backs. He's always done it. So I would expect them to do it I just don't think he can replicate 1,500 yards again, or whatever it was. I don't remember off the top of my head. I believe he had a lot of touchdowns. But I just don't like that. I like Etienne a lot more. He is the bell cow. I don't think Williams will be the bell cow is what I'm saying. I like Etienne more. Oh, man. I hope you guys can hear that. My children are screaming. I like Derrick Henry more there.
They do not like Williams. Oh, man. They do not.
Who's they?
Your children.
Oh, no. They do not.
They're listening down there just going crazy.
I like Derrick Henry more. I'm going to be honest. I like Josh Jacobs more around later. So that's why in a lot of my drafts, you're going to see me go receiver, and then take one of those running backs later.
Yeah. The only reason I like them where they are is because other people will take them.
Yeah.
They'll take, Achane, they'll take Williams, and I like that they're in the second round because it will let people fall to me like Travis Etienne. We mentioned maybe Josh Jacobs around later that you could sneak him in the third. Like those, Derrick Henry, those guys I like more, and so I like that there's two other guys I don't who other people might take. So that's the only perk to having him there sitting in the second round.
Jamie agrees with us. I'll make a bold prediction.
Oh, come on.
I don't want to call it a book it. I don't. Fine. Just put it down as bold prediction.
Cool.
I think
new category.
Okay, it's not a new category, but I think that it is certainly possible that when it all comes to an end, that Blake Corum could be the leading rusher on this team this year.
That would be an excellent book it, Jake.
Fine, we'll book it. Why not?
Yeah.
Do I have of all my book its? That's probably my least confident one. I'm saying, but first of all, Blake Corum was a monster at Michigan. They drafted him in the third round. I think it is possible he's going to get. I would expect a Bijan Algier situation from last year, where Bijan is getting 5 more carries than Tyler Algier all year, and one injury away from Algier being the guy better. He would have been better than Bijan last year.
And Kieran Williams did have injuries, it's not off the table that he could get hurt and miss some time, and Blake Corum to do well. I think it's
and that, Jordan, is how you make a book it. All right, we got a few more here.
I feel like you come at me so much for my book its, but I'm looking back at mine and they're excellent.
They're weak at best.
Okay.
I'll go. Wait, no, I did the last one. Why don't you go ahead and talk about why you hate Malik Neighbors?
Malik Neighbors?
Yeah.
Did you want to stick with running backs?
Oh, yeah, let's do that. Najee Harris. I like Najee Harris. I really love Najee Harris in the 7th round this year. Looking at his stats going back to last year or the previous years, he's always been around 1,200 yards. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. He had 1,200 yards, then 1,000 yards, 1,034, and then 1,035. What I like is the touchdowns. 7 touchdowns, 8 touchdowns. Right around running back 2 numbers. If he can get those yards up, which I think having Arthur Smith could be helpful. I know he kind of didn't know what to do with Bijan and Algier, but he also made Algier a 1,000-yard rusher the year before. I have said that I think this offense is actually going to be pretty good for fantasy. What'd you say?
Ooh.
So here's the thing, and let's pretend that he is right around the same. If he can add 100 yards onto his, have 1,100 yards. I mean, running back 2, you're getting in the 7th round. I feel good. I like him there more than I like some of the other guys going around him. And I can look that up while you tell me why I'm correct.
Jalen Warren is getting taken pretty high. You think he's a non-factor?
No, I don't think he's a non-factor, but I think with anyone around this area, right, this this group of people. Let's see. He's going currently. You said the 7th round. Yeah, so he's going 7th round. I mean, Warren's going just a round later. So
people are high on Warren as like
with everyone here.
Jump over him.
David Montgomery, Raheem Mostert, Zach Moss, Tony Pollard, Austin Eckler. We're all sharing time, right? Like all those guys are probably going to share time. The other guys going around, Ramondre Stevenson, I don't think is going to share too much time. DeAndre Swift, I don't think is sharing too much time. Maybe a little. But I like him the most out of all of them. I think Jaylen Warren will have a role, but I think that with the goal line carries, you're going to get Harris, and that's kind of what I'd want in that situation. If I can get a running back 2 in the 7th round, I love that. Well, is it going to hit? Is it going to hit every week? Probably not. But a guy you can throw in there who's going to get goal line carries and has had at least 1,000 yards in 3 straight seasons. I'm really like that situation.
I like the ADP, the 7th round ADP.
That's a big part of it as well.
I think we talked about this a little bit last week. We sit on different sides of this issue. You would be fine almost waiting on running back to get someone like Najee and kind of stack up your running backs in those rounds, right? Like 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, play matchups.
And I'm someone who would say I love Najee in the 7th, but I'm gonna have someone else. Like I would have someone else in rounds 1 through 6, another running back that I would have on.
I love the idea of not going running back until this 6th, 7th round, and stacking.
You gotta try it. Do it in the August League, Jake.
Okay. Which, by the way, we're gonna throw down here soon. But I like the idea of loading up on your Ramondre, your DeAndre Swift, your Raheem Mostert, Zach Moss, Tony Pollard. Like I like that idea of having multiple of those if you can, right? And then just having great receivers, great running back, great tight end, and then just you're essentially streaming running backs, which is interesting. But if you don't go the whole strategy...
That's a stressful strategy.
Yeah, it is. But I will say, but if you don't do that strategy and you get 2 of your running backs, you're in your head, your starters, right, every week, before round 7, being able to get another running back who you could start every week and feel pretty good about, and hopefully, and I think, give running back 2 numbers every week in the 7th round, I would be pretty happy with that.
A lot of 2s. A lot of QB 2, running back 2, probably wide receiver 2.
Why don't we keep talking about running back 2s? Devon Achane.
Yeah, RB2 right there.
RB2. Going to the 2nd round. I think. Do we agree on this that we hate this? I hate this.
Yes.
Okay.
I like him. I hate the ADP.
Why don't you go ahead?
He finished very, very high. If you take the Denver game out, where he scored like 50-plus fantasy points, which is what skews things in my head.
Yeah.
He had 5 games over 20 points, but he also had 5 games under 10 points.
Yeah.
And to me, that huge swing up and down, and they weren't like, oh, it was just like him getting started. He like did nothing the first couple of games, had a 50-point game, 50 Denver. Then he like did back-to-back really well, and then he dropped off for a couple of weeks. Then he had 1 good game, and then he dropped back down again. So just you're right. And to me, that was just so inconsistent. Everyone is like Raheem Mostert's still there.
I'm looking at it right now. So he had 1,000 yards
last year.
1,000 yards, 20 touchdowns. That's not just gonna go away.
No, even if it cuts down a little bit, it still doesn't like it's still a huge chunk of
correct.
Of touchdowns. It's still a huge chunk of. So I actually don't like Raheem Mostert as much this year, but I do not like Achane here in the 2nd round. So
this is terrible.
To me, it's that 2nd round ADP. To me, Mostert's still there. They are always doing running back by committee.
Yes.
Always in Miami.
This is he, in my opinion, and this might be a bold take. Achane here belongs in this probably the tier above all the guys we just talked about.
Oh yeah,
so it's close.
You went in the 6th round because it's like, oh,
put him in the 4th round, the 5th round, fine, okay. But there's no way you should be taking him as your running back. I mean, being drafted, you could take Tyreek Hill or Justin Jefferson, one of these guys, and then have him as your running back 1 No way. I don't even want him as my running back 2.
I take him as my running back 2.
There's not a chance that I would take him over Derrick Henry.
Oh, no. No.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So, like, this ADP is just... this ADP is really bad. Sorry, I'm laughing because I don't know if you see that, Jordan. My beautiful bride has entered the chat and she said, "Nice T-shirt." I'm wearing a Bluey.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a Bluey T-shirt.
I love it.
Trademarked. So guys, I'd take over HN. You tell me when to stop. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So Gibbs, Barkley. Okay, those guys, right? ETN.
Keep listing. We're
Okay,
far away.
ETN, Kieran Williams.
I don't like him, but I'd take him.
Okay,
over.
Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, James Cook.
Keep going.
Yeah, Isaiah Pacheco, Rashad White. I don't want Rashad White. I
don't want
go with
Rashad
the
White,
upside.
but he's the clear-cut
okay,
RB1 there.
Well, yeah, okay. How about Ken Walker, Joe Mixon,
Now we're entering. No, I like Joe Mixon. Yeah, but
Alvin Kamara, and these guys are going in the later in the
Yeah.
fourth. In the
yeah,
fourth.
take probably all of them.
Yeah.
There's specific guys I don't like that I would move down, but
Yeah.
if I move them down, I would still probably take them
Correct.
ahead of.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right, and then we have just the 2 left. So why don't we finish it up? We'll talk.
You didn't even talk about your boy Travis Etienne. You're just gonna skim over it like that?
Yeah, I was gonna skim over him. Going in 2-6,
that's
I love him. Last year I had an affinity towards Tony Pollard. I think that same thing will apply here this year. Going in the second round, undervalued as we did last year.
Did you just say the same thing as Tony Pollard?
Well, like the love is what I'm saying. It's not that he's.
Why you do that?
Is that the kiss of death right there?
Why you ruin his season like that? Things are going so well. Why you ruin his season?
Being drafted 2-6, I think that he could finish top 3. There's nothing top 3 running back this year. I think there's nothing that says he can't. If he gets in the end zone a little bit more, I mean, that's what we want to see. Maybe a little bit more in the passing game as well. But love him as your running back 1. I don't need to talk too much about it, but I like him more than Derrick Henry or Josh Jacobs or Etienne or Kieran Williams. I like him more than Barkley, who's going ahead of him. I like him more than Gibbs going ahead of him. So I'm probably going to end up with a lot of Etienne this year, but
Yeah.
I don't see why. I love him more than Jonathan Taylor. Honestly, he might be, now that I'm thinking about it, he's probably running back 3 for me.
Ooh,
you got Bryce, you got Breece Hall, you got Bijan. I'm sorry, 4. Breece Hall, Bijan, and CMC.
Got it. And then
It'd be ETN over those guys.
Yeah.
I just like the upside. It's huge. Give it to me. I love it. I know you like him too. I'm not sure you're quite that high, but
I'm not. I don't know if I'm quite that high, but he was awesome in the first part of the season when Trevor Lawrence was healthy.
Yep.
And then he kind of dipped in the second part of the season when Trevor Lawrence wasn't.
Correct.
Assuming Trevor Lawrence is coming back healthy.
Love it.
I like him.
All right,
so
cool.
that's yeah.
I will also talk. Do you want to talk about love or do you want to talk about hate for your last one?
I got things to say about both of them. So you tell me which one you want me to.
Cortland Sutton in the 12th round. It's very simple here. He is wide receiver 1 in the 12th round. That is, I love that. Easy. He's not going to win you a league, but he is being underdrafted right now. Any wide receiver 1 you can get in the 12th that's played in the league for a while is someone you should have. I don't know what their quarterback situation is. Bo Nix, maybe, right? Or Jarrett Stidham. It doesn't matter. He is, again, wide receiver 1 in the 12th round. Always, always, always take that.
Yeah.
Great.
It's like Jackson Smith-Njigba, who's maybe the 3rd.
Yeah.
Is going before him. Jamison Williams, who's probably the 3rd. Brian Thomas, who's maybe the 2nd or 3rd. Are all the guys
I do
going
like
around.
Brian
No,
Thomas.
just take the guy who's number 1.
Exactly. So that's pretty simple there. And then Malik Neighbors in the 5th round, we hate. Why? Because Daniel Jones sucks.
Or Drew Lock throwing picks in preseason.
He's hurt. I just got the sleeper thing. He's currently questionable to return. So who knows if he's hurt.
Classic.
Listen, I like Malik Neighbors as the receiver. I think he's going to be good. But going in the 5th round right now is way too high.
Yeah.
Just way too high. That is gross.
Devonta Smith. Would you have Devonta Smith over him?
Yes.
Of course. DJ Moore?
Yes.
Of course. Amari Cooper?
Yes.
Of course.
Yes.
T. Higgins?
Yes.
George Pickens?
Yes.
Zay Flowers?
Yes.
I'm out of my screen. Does not show
Terry
me more wide receivers.
McLaurin, Christian Kirk. Yes, all of them.
Yeah. So I like Malik Neighbors. His situation is just abysmal.
It's just abysmal.
Even if he catches 100% of the balls that he gets and he has 20 yards after every single catch, he's still not worth it.
No, it's just too high. That's the problem. Jamie says he's seen him go as early as the mid-third. Great. Let someone else do it. Yeah. All right, guys, there we have our love-hate episode for the week. We'll be back next week with...
we're off next week.
We're off next week. I'm sorry. Yes, thank you for saying that. We are off next week. Why are we off next week?
I'm off next week.
Oh, that's right. All right. Well, we're off next week. Look forward to our June and July breakdowns. Very going to do that, I think, separately from like our typical schedule. So we'll see those come out here soon. And then we have like 2 weeks and then it's football. So we're very excited. You can follow us Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all the Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast. Do that. It helps us out a ton. Jordan, so unless there's anything else you want to say?
Don't take Malik Neighbors in the 5th.
Don't take Malik Neighbors in the 5th. All right, guys. Take care. Be good.
Listening to the Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast. Follow and subscribe on Facebook and YouTube at the Next Step Fantasy Football Podcast.